Could the mortgage lender you choose end up with you behind prison bars? Wow, I know that's a scary one, right? Like it sounds absolutely ridiculous. It sounds like suddenly I'm doing clickbait. I lost my morals. I'm just trying to make the dollars on YouTube. No, it's legit. Seriously. The lender that you choose could end up with you serving hard time in prison. Let me explain. So recently I was doing my continuing education. I'm licensed in 48 states. My team can help you all across America. And the gentleman who was doing the education was interviewing a loan officer that had gone to jail for mortgage fraud. He was covering all the horrible stuff he had done. It's what in the industry we would expect. Using whiteout to change pay stubs, photoshopping bank statements, lying about occupancy, you name it, he did it. Straw buyers, everything illegal you could do, he did. And he served a little bit over 10 years. What was interesting to me about that was that he served alongside another gentleman. The other guy was in prison as well for the same time period, and he wasn't a mortgage loan officer. He was just a borrower. Yeah, seriously. And look, he wasn't this guy's client, but here's what had happened. So this guy's loan officer gets popped and they start looking at all his different loans that he did. And they see this guy, the one who's now in jail. We're going to call him the client. So they see this client's loans and they're like, whoa, something's not right here. So it had happened during the era of stated loans. Stated loans was when instead of providing your pay stubs or W-2s, you would just say, I make XYZ. So what was happening is the guy had said to the lender, I make 5K. The lender's like, yeah, that's not going to work. We're going to put 10. And the guy's like, well, wait a second. Like, doesn't it have to be right? And the lender goes, no. We just have to fill it in. It's just a box. Don't worry about it. It's good. You'll get your house. So the guy's like, okay, the lender told me it was fine. Great. Signs paper, gets the house. Lender reaches out, hey, we got a refi, we got lower rates, cool. Like this is a great lender, he's getting me a better deal, he got me the house originally, signs the documents. This happens 2 or 3 times. Well, every time this guy's signing the documents, he's lying about his income. Yeah, that's the thing, right? And you're like, well, wait a second. The guy told the lender 5K, the lender told him it was okay, so why is it his fault? Yeah. So in this situation, what happened is when the guy was approached and he was told, like, you've been committing mortgage fraud, the guy's like, I wasn't, it's not my fault, I want a jury trial. So he goes to a jury trial and it's really simple, because you would go, well, I asked the lender, they're the professional, they told me it was okay. But put yourself in a court of law, okay? When you're signing loan documents, you are signing that you certify that everything is true and accurate. You are, okay? So if you're signing that everything's true and accurate and you're not reading the documents, right, you're lying. If you're saying, well, the guy said it was okay that we just doubled the number and this is like a normal person would go, oh, well, that's got to be bullshit, right? Like, why would they have a box asking about your income if you could just make up your income? That doesn't make any sense. But like, I see the buyer perspective where you're like, well, this is a professional. Like, they're supposed to guide me. They're supposed to. Yeah, so that's the thing. You're supposed to also have some level of common sense where it's like, if what a lender's telling you sounds like bullshit, it is. If what the lender's telling you sounds like fraud, it is. And if you go along with it and sign your name to it, guess what? You're committing mortgage fraud, right? So this guy goes to the jury trial, with all the refis. He's like, I didn't even look at the documents. I just signed. That's not a defense. And the reason it's not a defense is because, once again, when you sign, you are certifying that you read the documents and that they're accurate. So you're like, whoa. So the jury doesn't decide how much time you get. So the jury's just looking at the facts of the case, which is like, did this guy commit mortgage fraud? Yeah, because even if you take away the income part, he didn't actually read any of the documents. He just signed his name. So he lied there as well. So he doesn't have any legitimacy for being an honest person. So he gets 10 plus years. Yeah, because it's considered defrauding banks. There's multiple, since he had multiple refinances, it wasn't even one criminal act, it was multiple criminal acts in attempt to defraud. He never missed a payment, guys. Yeah. So, okay. What do you need to know from this? Simple. Read your loan documents. This is like with any legal document. If you're signing something that says that it's true and you've read it, read it. The way that you could find mortgage fraud, it would be on the application. Make sure you're always checking the last docs you sign. Your application at first could be fine. It could say like, oh, it's going to be a rental property and you make $5,000. And then your final loan documents could have that it's owner occupied and you make $10,000. But you looked at the first set and when you went to sign the final, you just assumed it would be the same. Don't make assumptions. There's some saying about anyone who makes an assumptions, it just makes you an ass. I don't know. Someone can type it in the comments. But don't make assumptions. Always make sure that you are reading the documents. Now, what are the most important docs to read? The application, the loan summary always. You need to make sure you're not getting ripped off. But usually you're going to find fraud in the application. And it's only 3 pages, guys. It's not a hard read. So first of all, where would I look? If I was trying to make sure that fraud wasn't be committed, I would want to make sure that my marital status was correct. So if, for example, let's say I was buying a house in California, I was doing an FHA loan. If I was married and my husband had a ton of debt, and suddenly on the application, I'm unmarried, that's because the loan officer is trying not to see my husband's debt. So they're lying and saying that I'm not married. If I sign that, right, I'm lying too. So that would be one place I would look for fraud. The next thing is, always make sure your name spelling's right, Social Security. That's not a fraud thing. That's just housekeeping. If it has the ages of your children wrong, that's not a big deal. That's okay. You can give it to us. Although in fairness, you could commit fraud on that as well. So if, for instance, let's say you got child support and there were only 3 years left and your kid was 17 and you're only going to get it till they're 18, I have to show there's 3 years left. So if suddenly on your application it says the kid's 14, yeah, that could be fraud, right? Okay, so what else? Income. Always income. Check your income. Now, what you want to look for is it right? If it's like a couple dollars off, that's probably just a calculation, right? Because if you get paid hourly or you get overtime, like we're doing a 2-year average. If you get commission, I'm doing a 2-year average. If you have Social Security that's non-taxable or VA disability, I'm grossing it up. Like there are guidelines. But if it's something like, you were declined by 2 lenders, suddenly this other lender can do it. You look at the application, your income that's $5K shows as 10. You're like, wow, that's fraud. And you may be like, well, Jen, how could they even do it? Guys, they're doing fake pay stubs. Like you can have AI create anything right now. They're doing fake pay stubs. They're going to send it to as many different lenders as they can until someone doesn't check. It's that simple. It's messed up and it's wrong. Don't do it, but watch out for it. So if you see your income a lot higher and they say, oh, don't worry about it. That's just how we close the loan. No. And if you're unsure, if you're like, this feels like fraud, but I don't know, call me and my team. We're always happy to answer questions. 786-933-2077. Okay, what else is another big source of fraud? Assets. So if, for instance, you have a file where maybe you need some level of reserves, which means extra money left over in the bank and you don't have it, have there been cases where loan officers have photoshopped bank statements and put your name on it? Yeah, there have been. Does it make it okay? No, it's fraud. It's fraud. And once again, if you look at it and you're like, wait, I don't have that account. And the lender says, oh, don't worry about it. Yeah, we'll just get that taken off after closing. It's fraud. Get it removed before you sign that document. Or if you sign that document, you cross it the hell out and you say, I do not have this account. You need to protect yourself, guys. And, here's the thing with mortgage fraud. People are so desperate to get the house that they just close their eyes. Oh, I don't care. Just get me the house. But do you want to be that guy in prison? No, you don't. You don't. And you can't just say you didn't know because you're supposed to be reading these documents. Okay, what else? Occupancy fraud. That's a big one. So Occupancy fraud, you always want to check. If you're going to live in the house, it should say owner occupied. If you're going to buy the house as an investment property, it should say investment property. If you're going to live in the house and they have it marked as an investment property, you could be like, well, why would they do that? Because they're using projected rental income so you qualify. It's fraud. It's fraud, right? And if you're like, well, I'm going to rent the house, but they have it as owner occupied, why would they do that? So you can do a lower down payment and get a better rate. It's fraud. Okay, it's fraud. The key thing is going to be you want to make sure all of this is mapped out accurately. And if it being correct means you don't get the house, don't get the house, guys. Don't get the house. It's not worth it. Because here's the thing. All these guidelines are designed to protect you. It's that simple, right? These guidelines are designed to protect you, to make sure that you don't get into economic trouble. With this whole guy and the stated income drama, he was making the payments. It was an era where you had payments that were interest only or like half the interest. It's not the world we live in now. So make sure any documents that you sign, you are reviewing and they're accurate. If you ever have questions, let your lender know. And if what they say doesn't make sense, feel free to check with us. Like, we're happy to be like, yeah, no. I mean, without seeing it, we're not going to be bulletproof, but we can at least, like, if it's obvious, be like, yeah, that's not right. Okay. So questions, comments, as always, feel free to reach out. And look, do I expect now that my team's going to get some calls where it's like, my income's 3,000, but you have 3,100? Yeah, and we'll be like, because this is how we calculated it. So we're always happy to share our calculations, and your lender should be happy to share their calculations. But look, there's no magic money account that any of us could have. So pay attention, make sure everything you sign is accurate, and don't end up in prison because you worked with a dirtbag just to get a house. Thanks for watching.